rolling. Ashley Wines, welcome back.
Yay, good to be back.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you?
Doing well. Yeah. Enjoying the podcast. I'm really excited for some of the episodes I've recorded recently. Like, I actually had somebody from NAMI on earlier this week.
Awesome.
Yeah, that'll be really cool to hear from. And then probably one of the most exciting, like, I have not anticipated posting a podcast as much as Strongtown Athens. Stephanie Hunter from Strongtown's Athens, she like runs the Instagram account and like the meetings and stuff. She came on and she's just so laser sharp, and you can just tell like she knows her shit. And like I feel bad because like I had a meeting at 11:30 in the morning, and it started to creep towards 11:30, and I was like, this could just go for 3 more hours. Like, this is beautiful.
Sure.
But it went down, but it was a really good episode. And like in the back end of it, we talked about something that they're not going to post until like after Porch Fest. Ooh. So I'm going to sit on it, but like I'm excited to post it. You know what I mean? And I haven't felt that in a while, but I usually have been posting them pretty quick. But yeah, I got a couple like racked up, ready to go. So yeah, it's been really exciting.
Cool. Yeah, and NAMI, we just taught some yoga for NAMI. So that's been interesting. I feel like Middle Path has, people are starting to come to us and asking for yoga teachers, and that's really exciting.
Yeah,
so,
just like town awareness.
Town awareness and community outreach. And I know we were talking about this before we hit or got online, but even just looking at the schedule you have on the wall, where we only had 1 class a week, and now we have at least 2 to 3 classes every single day at the studio.
That's really cool. Who's the is there a new Wednesday middle of the day, or is it Thursday? What's like the embodiment yoga?
Yeah, so Wednesday at 11:30 a.m., Vanna Miller is teaching embodiment yoga.
Cool.
She has a very trauma-informed approach. Very beautiful teacher.
Nice.
So, and I believe it's only an hour, so it's pretty accessible for people during their lunchtime or the people who, get up a little later or have their slow mornings. So, and that's been a part of the process, is figuring out what times really work for the community and what the community can really fit into their schedule. And obviously, like, it's, one size doesn't fit all. But giving variety on the schedule, I think, has really helped with the expansion of Middle Path.
There's so many classes.
So many
Rising
classes.
tide lifts all boats, you know what I mean? Like, the more people come to the studio, the better the studio's good. It's just awesome.
Yeah, and you graduated teacher training.
Yeah.
So I know. And so that's just been, like, so bittersweet. And it's funny because I was like, I don't know how I'm going to, like, love anybody more than my first group of 200-hour teacher trainings, where it's just me teaching the whole thing. I've co-taught other 200-hour and 300-hour trainings, but, there's always something different with these sanghas. And I love it all. I love it all so much. And I love all of you who want to go deep, because it is deep.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, maybe you could speak to that a little bit. I'm curious how teacher training was for you.
Yeah. It was nothing I expected it to be. I tried to let go of expectations before it, but I just, a lot of what I expected was like 5 hours of asana, just like locking in everything. And just like the types of things that came up for me, just like reading the required reading materials, just whatever. Like, I wasn't really prepared for that. But I don't think that it would have gone the way it would without all of the other people experiencing similar things and just like reflecting and, just like the difference in perspectives. Like, it was really great from that. Like, it was very challenging. There are still things that, like, I was just kind of simmering on a back pot that, sometimes I'll be in the shower and it'll just like come back to me and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know. But it's definitely, I would say I feel like I have a lot more tools in the tool belt, just to like be aware and to like hold space for myself, you know. And so yeah, I think it was really great. I think too, like we just got together, like maybe it was like me, Natalie, McCoy, Sam, and Sherry got coffee at Court Street the other day, and it was like it felt like we were back in the room, you know, like everybody just like talking and throwing their things in there, like, or even just like I always see Sam Christopher at the farmers market. Like that's the only place I see Sam in town is at the farmers market, and just like even a passing friendly smile, hello, like it's so warm, and like I really love that. Like I text the teacher training group chat more than any of my other group chats. You know, like just like unsolicited. Here's a picture of the porch kitty, you know, hanging out. Like I don't know. So it is really great, you know. And like McCoy's having like a housewarming party, and he invited all of us to it. So it's just it's really cool. Yeah. And then you know post the event, like I mean obviously we just graduated in the middle of March, but like showing up to Alexis's class and like talking to her about like teaching now, or just like hearing everybody's experiences, like teaching at different studios. Like Natalie's gone out to the like Amesville studio and stuff like that. So just like hearing from different teachers' perspectives after the fact has been really cool too. Like I get what you mean of like you'll be in touch with them forever. Like there'll never be a time that I won't welcome like talking to them, you know, which is just really great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's lifelong. I mean, lifelong as in the community you create in the space, but also the teachings. You know, like you said, it's like sometimes things just drop in and you're like, oh, like that thing, whether it's like the kleshas or it's the nervous system weekend we had, or there's so much philosophy and so much contemplation, which I think is really part of the process of yoga. And as you know, I've said this like 3,000 times in the yoga teacher training, but finding ease in the discomfort and how valuable that is on the mat and off the mat.
Off the mat more so. Like again, there was so much more yoga off the mat for me throughout the training and now than like I experienced. Like obviously I'm off the mat more than I'm on it, but like that's I didn't expect that. Like, you know, for just daily interactions to be changed like via, you know, whatever some of these concepts.
It's truly it's a way of life, you know, it really is when we can take a non-dualistic approach to life. We have a lot more peace, you know, because oftentimes we create our own sufferings, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically. Most of the time we are in our own way. And yoga I think, has a really beautiful, I want to say graceful, but it's not always graceful, you know, but just the way you're on the mat and sometimes you fall, you know, or sometimes like you can't grab your leg and whatever we're doing, and then finding the sense of ease and just like acceptance of, okay, that's okay, you know. And I think part of falling is learning how to get back on. And that's kind of the whole middle path philosophy, is we don't have to have this like perfectionism in everything we do or anything we do. I think that's unrealistic. But we also don't want to stay in stagnant states or lazy states. And so the middle path is really just finding peace in between those spaces. And we're going to fall off the path. That's going to happen. But over time, we refine it, and we get back on the path a little bit more easily and maybe a little bit more quicker. And then maybe we help other people get there because we know what that's like, and we've experienced that. And I think like watching, wow, it's been, so April 9th will have been a year of being open. And we're in May now, so it's just so much expansion.
Yeah.
So much expansion.
Like when you first launched the studio, like in April of 2025, like how many teachers were even on the schedule? Did you just kind of know them from around town?
Yeah, I mean, part of opening the studio for me was there wasn't a lot of places to teach, and the places that were open to teach, you really had to hustle, you know, for yourself. And there wasn't really a hustle for the whole thing, like the whole fruit bowl, you know, like there was a bunch of different fruits in the bowl and they were all just kind of doing their own thing. But I was noticing a need from other teachers that really were missing the community aspect of being a teacher in a studio. And I was just I was honestly just listening. Like part of the process was just listening to other teachers, collecting data on how other studios were running and what was efficient and what wasn't working. And then I just launched it and I took all that food for thought. And I think that's been for the teachers, you know, of creating a space where there is a software, creating a space where there's, you know, one program for everybody to go through. And it also kind of took off some of the pressure on their shoulders too, I think. And I just took responsibility for that. And I think that really helped. And so it really was very organic. People just kind of, you know, we all started talking and people started reaching out to teach. Occasionally I would reach out to a teacher and just, you know, drop a line. And some of them hooked in and others didn't, and that's fine. And it's been a process of evolution, you know. So I'm really, really grateful. And I think that's, you know, part of owning a business is like you really have to tune those strings, you know, and figuring out what string goes where and what tune and what works, what doesn't. And so that's been a really interesting process for me as well. I like it. You know, I like the brain gymnastics. It's very intellectually stimulating for me. And then it also brings a sense of collaboration, you know, with the community. So, and I'm still figuring out like how I can cater to the community more. So I have some things like cooking where I can offer free classes weekly to the community because I want it to be accessible.
Didn't you just post about something like that, like a buy a class for a friend thing?
Yeah, so somebody was really sweet and donated a class pass.
Nice.
So that was amazing. But this will be like a weekly class that'll be free for the community, but
Cool.
still get the teachers paid,
Yeah.
you know, because your time is important to me as well. And it should be important to the community as well. So that's also important for me. And I've watched so many teachers burn out with not feeling like there's like the energy is reciprocal. So I'm very aware of that and trying to make it work for the teachers in the community in a way that everybody feels supported. Yeah.
That makes sense. I keep seeing new people in the studio like every week, you know, or like I think maybe one of the first times that I was like using the iPad software, like I saw like the add a participant and there was like 493 people and I was like, holy shit, 493 accounts is like in a year. Like that's a wide, net. And that's really cool.
We're at 499 today.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's insane.
It's weekly. The growth is weekly.
Yeah.
You know, our retention rate is like 73%.
Does that mean like 73% of people are coming back for another class?
Yep.
Nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel really inspired by that. And I feel like it's just, I mean, it's a labor of love and something that when I was reaching out to mentors and reaching out to other entrepreneurs in all different kinds of industries about opening a business, specifically a brick and mortar. I was collecting all this information and just listening, and knowledge, and like listening to other people's experiences. But something nobody told me was how difficult it would be to turn passion into profit, and actually how deep that really does infiltrate you on like a emotional, physical, soul level. That is something I was not prepared for. I could feel myself almost getting like defensive of the space and like wanting to protect it, you know. And I was like, whoa, let's like see what this is here. And then of course on the days where there's just pure exhaustion, you know, like if I'm launching something, you know, now I know, okay, if I'm gonna launch something really big, then the next day I'm gonna create space just to rest. Those were things I was not prepared for when going into this, like launching a new teacher training or launching a retreat or launching like a new membership, how much energy that took and brain power, and then how much I needed to really rest to allow that all to just kind of like integrate. So I think that's been really interesting, and I've been journaling about it a lot because of course, I want everybody to go after their dream, and that dream might not necessarily be turning their passion into a brick and mortar business. But if it is, be prepared because it's going to be, you're going to feel it. Like you really, really feel it. Every ounce of growth, you feel it. And then every percentage drop, you also feel that, you know, there's good days and there's bad days. And that's part of the process, finding ease in the discomfort, you know, because there's going to be the uncomfortable days. And that's part of owning a business that I think a lot of people just, you know, that don't really realize that all the time.
Yeah,
you know?
I think that's very consistent with like what I've heard other small business owners talk about, like in whatever medium, retail or food service, just like, that the passion into profit. Like it's just, passion's a very high bar to reach for, and then to like profitize that. And then it's like I don't know, it's like, you know, the thing that you are so passionate about not providing the profit, then just the conversation of like, for sure. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, because the marketing, the advertising, and sometimes like I would just be in the shower, like washing my hair and just like, am I doing enough? You know, am I reflecting authenticity? Am I being genuine? Is this in alignment with my thought, speech, and action? Like it is a constant practice, you know, of checking in with those things, and making sure. And of course, like as things evolve, we also, and I'm a human too, like I have ego deaths and my identity also shifts. And then to watch the, you know, there's always a sort of friction between my identity shift in my personal life and then the studio, you know. In a lot of ways, the studio and the business is very, like, I feel very grounded in that, and it feels very safe. But sometimes as I'm evolving, then I'm like, okay, maybe I need to try something different in the studio as well. So it's like, and when it is a passion, a profit, and your passion is also evolving with these identities, like things are going to shift and things are going to change and things are going to evolve. And sometimes it's not pretty. And there can be a lot of pushback from other people or even software. There's a lot of like very little tedious things that kind of pop up, but also require like 100% of my energy and attention to really shift whatever I need to shift or launch. And taking like the whole community into account too, because it's like, you know, we're not selling retail, you know, we're selling experiences. We're that's what we're doing, you know, we're sharing that at a price, and that's the reality. And I think COVID really, it really pushed people into their homes, and I think people are still finding a way back into community. And that's the thing. And you've been in a yoga class, like especially with me, when everybody's breath is like online and everybody's like, like that's the most beautiful thing to me. And I think people breathing together is like part of community.
Yeah, I'm a bee breath guy. Something about the bee breath like vibrates my whole body. I fucking love it.
Me too. Yeah, and it's like breath is so powerful, and there's so much research and science to back up the power of the breath. Like it rewires neural pathways. It affects your nervous system. Like it truly calms you, and creates clarity. It's like, why aren't we all doing that?
Yeah. I could relate to the, what you're saying about like getting stuck in the house during COVID. I don't think before COVID I ever had that thought of like, yeah, I think I just want to stay home. Like, but maybe like during college, like I'm living like uptown, everything's always like super walkable. It's like, then I lived in Cleveland and like kind of same deal. Like everything that I wanted to go to is like all walkable. Like, I don't know. But I mean, definitely there are times that like, I don't know, like an event or something, I'm just like, yeah, dude, I'm just going to stay. Like, so I think I like can relate to what you're saying there. Yeah, for sure. Actually what's really difficult for me is the Sunday evening is difficult for me because, I even mentioned this during the teacher training that like Sundays is a day that I really need to protect because regardless of if it's football season or whatever I have going on at work, like there aren't really, I can't think of a time that I'm working on Sundays, and yeah, so like I was aware that like Sunday is usually my day, and then even something like whatever, you're teaching for an hour and 15 minutes. I think evening too is difficult for me. Like I'm a morning person. I like to get up early. I like to, like by high noon, like I'm coming back to the house. Like, I'm chilling. Like I don't know. Like by 2 or 3 p.m. Like I'm just kind of like mechanically. Like I don't know. I think I'm kind of winding down, and even just like this past Sunday, like I felt like I was just waiting for class all day. And I was like, where is this coming from? Like, I don't know, just like after I made breakfast, just like pacing around my house for a little bit. And it's like, I don't know. Like, so yeah, something about that Sunday evening is like difficult for me, but it's good that I'm understanding that. Like, I think it was a really good opportunity for me to plug in for a weekly class for 6 weeks just to keep the muscle there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's definitely something that has been difficult for me, the Sunday evening. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that's part of the process when you're just getting your feet wet and being a teacher is figuring out what times work for you.
Yeah. See, with like the evenings though, like during the weekday, I don't feel that. Like during the weekday when it's like, I'm at work or whatever, like I picked up a Tuesday class. And like I didn't mind that, but it was just something, maybe just something about like the Sunday evening, like where I'm not doing anything all day and then I have something to do. Like, I don't know. So good like lesson there to learn, but yeah. But like it's in line with kind of what you're saying of like the having space, like it's just, I feel like I'm taking a little bit of that space away by putting something in at the end of my Sunday, but I have enjoyed, again, just the opportunities to teach, which is also something I didn't expect. Like you are putting on way more than just the studio to your teachers, like you're creating opportunities all over the place during our teacher training, offering the extension to go to like teach at WellWorks for some classes or even just like, whatever the pop-up stuff, the CPR stuff. Like it's like, I didn't really expect you to foster so much like opportunity, like even independent of the studio, which is really sick. But I mean, it's supporting the teachers that are supporting the studio. Like it all makes sense,
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. And I'm not gatekeeping yoga.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I want everybody to have access to yoga as much as possible. I want people to teach in the community, and I can't do all of that.
Word.
I want to. I would love to teach more in the community when these opportunities arise, but it's just not possible as a single mom and business owner. It's just not possible. So I really, really appreciate, I think like our teacher sub list is at like 20 people at this point.
I had no idea it would be that many.
I know. There's so many teachers in the community and it makes me so happy because it's not even that they're just teachers, they're also students. They've dedicated time and energy and money and knowledge and it gives me goosebumps right now because I just feel so grateful, for these teachings to have lasted thousands of years and be in this community where there's a need for it, whether it's for community reasons, whether it's for movement reasons, like everybody has their own reason and just being able to kind of like thread and weave, all these layers together it feels like a gift to me, honestly. So I'm so grateful for all of you guys, and it just keeps going.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? So we have we're in another round of teacher training right now, and people are emailing me for another teacher training.
Wow.
So I think we're gonna launch another one in September.
So it started in April. Do they finish? Is it also 7 months?
Yeah, it's also 7 months, so they'll finish in October.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so I think I'll launch another 200-hour in September, if there's enough people
Yeah,
to sign up. But it seems like there will be, and then we have a lot of requests for a 300-hour training. So I'm listening, and like I said, I'm just trying to weave it all together, because I also in my personal teaching career, besides just owning the business, I really want to teach more retreats, and that feels very aligned with what I want to do. And last retreat, it sold out within 24 hours. This retreat, we have one spot left.
Is this the Hocking Hills or the foreign one?
Hocking Hills.
Yeah.
So
Was the Hocking Hills one last year your first retreat?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Cool.
so Hocking Hills this year again, same place, same chef, and it's over solstice weekend, which I know is also over Nelsonville Music Fest weekend.
Like summer solstice, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
It's like late June? Yeah.
June 19th through the 21st.
Yeah.
And so I really want to keep in my own, it's kind of it's all together, and everything supports the business, everything goes back into the business. But something about teaching retreats and being with women for 3 days has become really powerful to me and very needed. And just simple things that I've learned that I think also gets lost in a lot of commercial retreats or a lot of 24-hour retreats.
There's a lot of slander online about yoga retreats. They're getting stigmatized and labeled in ways I feel like a lot of content about yoga, I just feel very intuitive, of accepting maybe something that's being said, should I consider this? Is this something I should, or just scroll right past it, I just feel like I have somewhat of a good filter for that. But that is one thing I've noticed, is that there's a lot of slander out there about retreats.
Yeah, I mean, in what way?
With just I don't know, maybe saying maybe just you're taking a 200-hour training in 10 days in Bali, or I don't know, just that they're, or maybe even just judging the people that come out of them, of I don't know how to provide specific examples,
Sure.
just because a lot of it I don't hold on to. I'm whatever.
Yeah, sure.
I've never been on a retreat, so then if I don't have any lived experience to compare it against, then I don't, you know what I mean? It doesn't really mean anything to me. But just maybe kind of that same way that there's just whitewashed ones. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. A couple of things on that. One, I think if you're getting, and I'm seeing this happen a lot, where people are getting their 200 certification either online, which is becoming an issue, or people are going to Bali or Costa Rica for 2 weeks and getting a 200-hour certification. Both of those scenarios pose serious safety risks and should be taken very seriously. And I hope that more studio owners start to take that more seriously, because, and even at the studio here, I've had several teachers come in, they've got a certificate, they've got their certification online, or they did a 2-week training, and I'm like, well, you're going to have to give me a practicum. We're going to have to go over it. We're going to have to give you more experience, because it's just not safe. I mean,
I couldn't imagine.
I can't imagine. No, you would not be able to safely and effectively hold a yoga class at all. Online, I think you can get the information, but you're still lacking embodied experience. And that does the whole community a disservice. That does your students a disservice. And I think that's why we're also seeing we're seeing yoga die in a lot of studios, because people are just teaching workout
Like
classes
yoga
or
sculpt. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
or calling it yoga and it's not. I mean,
Yeah.
I had a student come down from Columbus, and after class, she literally said this. She was like, "I'm not trying to gas you up, but thank you for teaching yoga."
Yeah. This also, I'd like to make an important distinction, like, because it's not that there isn't a space for those types of, like, I call it hybrid or derivative of, as long as you're, like, very clear about, because you touched on this in the training, like, being very clear about what it is. Like, if you're
Yes.
teaching, like, a hip hop yoga sculpt class, market it as such, but
Yes.
do not call, like, that same style class, like a vinyasa flow, right?
No.
Like, it's just not, for sure. So it's like being transparent, but like there is a space for those things as long as again it's just like you're being
Being
authentic about what it
transparent.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think with retreats, it's like, they are so in depth. If you have somebody who can really create and hold space, they're deep. It's not so much a like vacation, where you're gonna like. It's a more in depth kind of refinement and awareness of self. And I always the last retreat, it was very important for me to make sure my students had tools to take away with them. And it's also a practice, like community is a skill, it's you have to live it and you have to refine it. And community also means conflict resolution. Community also means like saying I'm sorry or relating and connecting with other people. Like community is many, many things. And some practices I like to do in retreat is like, well, we always keep a fire going all weekend. And so we will collect firewood together. We will wash dishes together. We will pour each other's tea for each other. We sit down, we eat dinner together without our phones. Like nobody has a phone on them all weekend. And, it's not like I'll drop an email being like, I invite you to put the phone down and just be with it. It's an invitation. I also understand, like, I'm a mom. I do have my phone, fairly close by throughout the whole retreat for those reasons. But
being accessible to it is not the same thing as being locked into it.
exactly.
Though. There's a big
like
difference.
nobody's chilling, like scrolling on their yoga mat, and this is kind of where like I laugh, like it's not a vacation because we're getting up at 6 a.m. and we're sitting by the fire and we're drinking hot lemon water and then we're practicing under these like caverns, by a fire. It's like, you're not doing that at your home.
Word.
You're not. And then having a chef who her name's Trudy, and she's from Columbus, and she's also a comedian.
Wow.
And so it was just this like a beautiful compliment to like some of the topics and philosophy that we were coming to that was very deep. And very contemplative, very introspective, a lot of reflection. And then we just have this like hilarious woman cooking us food and like dancing and singing songs for us at some point. And it was just like that comedic relief, So like every detail is just like tuned in, and not everybody can hold space like that.
What is it like to hold it for like a weekend long, for like very long periods of time? Like, just logistically throughout the day, like you're talking about like 6 a.m. you're up in the fire and then you practice. Like, how are
exhausting.
you? Yeah.
It's
like is there free time throughout the day where you're just like, the next hour and a half, like, meditate, take your nap, do what you got? Like, is there pockets of rest inside of that, even for just somebody like you who's leading it?
Yeah, so last retreat I had an assistant, and I'll probably have another assistant. Yeah, because there was a moment, we get into these conversations where people are sharing about trauma and sharing about deep emotional wounds, and I have to hold all that. I have to hold all that for the students, for the women showing up. And it's a lot of energy, and there were moments where I just had to go to my room and quite honestly cry and process and like ground myself. And luckily my assistant Melissa Grega, who's amazing and a solid student
She
of
was
mine,
in year 200, right?
she was in my 300
Oh,
hour.
3. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and there was a moment where somebody wanted to come get me to like tell me lunch was done or something, and Melissa was like, "No, let her
Yeah.
be in her space right now." And that is a part, like when you are a teacher and you are trying to create these spaces, like your team matters, you know? And Melissa was the perfect person who really so gracefully fills in the spaces and the gaps of where I sometimes, like, I'm not a big hugger, you know, but sometimes these women need hugged. And Melissa is like, mountain mama, I'm gonna freaking hold you, you know? And like, I knew that was needed for this. It just isn't, like, it's not authentic when it comes from me.
That's really, it's like, yeah, that's very self-aware. And it's also, I love to, you know, like the way you're talking about holding space for these people. Like, it's awesome that Melissa's there to help hold space for you, holding space for these people.
Exactly.
Like, fuck. Yeah, it takes a village.
It takes a village, you know? And it's so, like I said, every detail. And it's also like I'm online in the sense of like, you know, making sure the chef is there on time and making sure.
See, that's the shit. Like, I just, oh my God. Yeah. Like, all the moving pieces all the time. Like,
So many.
So like, you know, from 6 a.m. to whatever time in the evening, like, it just seems a lot to be on, you know, like on the whole time. Yeah.
And then there is a couple nights where we're sitting by the fire till 9, 10 p.m. Just like, you know, people are in and out of the sauna and like, we're like, just chilling, you know, and some people are painting and sketching, and you know, some people are just chilling on the couch, laying down, like whatever.
How
you
beautiful!
know? Yeah, and making sure, like holding space is definitely it's also a skill, you know, and it takes refinement, and especially when you're in bigger groups, sometimes too many cooks in the kitchen can get overwhelming for students, especially when sometimes we'll get into topics and like other students have experiences that another student is going through, and it's great to relate and to reflect and to connect in that way, but sometimes it can be really overwhelming for the student. And so there's a part where I also have to step in and say, hey, give this person some space to process that.
Yeah, almost like, is it like, which maybe we talked about this in training, like not like unconsciously trying to solve other people's problems for them. It's like not like, because we now have this rapport of like a similar lived experience, like I unknowingly begin to like provide you solutions that it's just like I need to come up with, like you spoon feeding me, so teach somebody to fish or give them a fish, you know what I mean? It's like that person needs to put their fucking pole in the water, not like watch you reel this fish in. And like sometimes watching somebody reel the fish in, like, oh, okay, you set the hook, or okay, you do reel, you got to keep the pole tip up, you know, it's just, you know, whatever, like you can understand details, but it's like, hey man, let me fucking fish, you know. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, and that is something, like, I made this analogy the other day after class. I think it was, like, Aries season, and everybody was, like, pissed off, and there was just a lot going on. And I was like, you know, you can hold a sword and a shield at the same time. You don't always need to yield the sword. Sometimes you need the shield. And I just feel that so much as a teacher. Like we have a shield and we have a sword, and oftentimes like we're using both to protect our students, you know? And that is like, that's a sacred space.
Yeah.
That's a really sacred space. And I don't think, you know, it's something you learn over time. And knowing when to step in, you know, and say, hey, give this person the space they need, you know, or if somebody says something that's triggering to somebody else, knowing, you know, how to kind of redirect conversation or create the space. So not everybody it's hard, you know, a lot of different energies and personalities, but somehow it all always just like, comes together in a really beautiful way. So I'm I'm excited. I'm so excited to be in that space again. And there was several moments throughout the weekends where I was just like, my whole body filled with chills and tears came to my eyes, because there was no doubt that that's exactly where I was meant to be. And that's kind of been the process of Middle Path too. It's like, I've taken a lot of risks, a hell of a lot of risks, okay? But like, there's opportunity in risks and there's opportunity in failure, And so I always try to remind myself when I am trying something new or launching something different. And yeah.
And you said there's one spot left for that Hocking Hills retreat.
One spot left, and it's all women.
Yeah.
So I do want to do a co-ed retreat, because I think part of healing as a collective is getting men, women, and non-binary folk all together. It's also really powerful. I've been in groups where there's men and women and there's deep healing and workshops or training, whatever it was. And I think it can be really inspirational for anybody, and we have to help each other on this path. I think that's really important. So that's cooking. That's
nice.
Cooking.
And talk a little bit more about so where are you, Costa Rica? Is that also this year?
Yeah, Costa Rica is in September.
Nice. Oh, damn. So in September you have the teacher training going?
Yeah.
Man.
And I've kind of pumped the brakes on the Costa Rica retreat a little bit because the economy right now. It's just like the people I did have booked for it are really nervous about flights.
Mm-hmm. Fucking just like price of oil is fucking up the gas. Yeah, all of it.
So I've kind of pumped the brakes on that, and I think we're going to redirect and do it in the States.
Cool.
Yeah. I think that'll be more accessible for people, then it'll just kind of alleviate the stress of like flights or getting stuck somewhere. The flights are just crazy right now.
For
like,
sure.
It's
didn't an airline just fucking close too, like Spirit or some shit? It's never a good sign.
Yeah. A lot of shifts there. So I think we're gonna redirect and keep it in the States. That will be a co-ed space as well. So I'm excited about that.
Cool.
Yeah. And I'll also have an assistant for that one as well, because it'll be a little longer and a little more in depth.
So like when you're saying in depth, is it like, similar to just maybe some like workshops, but just kind of like stacked together? Like the Spirituals Dilemma or Spiritual Seekers. What was the first workshop you ran at Middle Path?
Spiritual Seekers Dilemma.
Yeah. So is it like just content like that where it's like, we're going to talk about something and then we're going to have like some prompts to reflect on it and like maybe apply what we just talked? Is it like similar to that format?
Yeah, there's a lot of philosophy. That's definitely my thing, yogic philosophy and contemplation.
Mm-hmm.
So asking good questions that really help you reflect and find ways to integrate. And then we put it all out there, whether it's on paper, sharing, in communities. So throughout the whole thing, like community is in action throughout this whole thing. That's a huge part of it for me. And then we'll do practices, like very intelligent sequencing to really help integrate what we're feeling, what we're thinking, and sometimes practices to help us really like get that shit out, There's a lot of things that we do in retreats that I'm not always doing in my weekly classes. A lot of practices, breathing. Mm-hmm. I take more kriyas in a retreat space.
I feel like
usually.
Those fucked me up a lot.
Yeah.
Like those really got me somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. And that is, like, I'm not a Kundalini teacher because I think it takes a very special and skilled teacher to teach Kundalini, but I will teach kriyas that I have embodied and experienced, because you have to be so deliberate and intentional with the energies in the room. Mm. So that means I got to be tapped into everybody, That's hard to do sometimes.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of things I'm not doing in my weekly classes. And there's a lot of one-on-one time as well, whether it's like bumping into a student like on the way to the bathroom, and there's this moment of just like a silent hug, or just like sitting down for coffee and we start to get into these beautiful conversations, that are revealing, and that peel back layers. Like there's so much, I want to say serendipity, but I don't even know if I believe in serendipity anymore. Like I'm like, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, synchronicity.
Yeah,
like
synchronicity, beautiful.
Yeah.
So there's so much synchronicity, and there was a moment where we were sitting in the sauna and like some people are naked and some people aren't, and we're just in there for hours just like talking, whether it's on motherhood or yoga or anything, all these things, like whatever conversation comes up is the conversation that's meant to come up, And I always have like a schedule and an idea of what we're going to go over and what we're going to do, and some prompts and writing exercises. But even in that, sometimes it's like if I'm hearing things from several different students that feel aligned and like that's the direction we're going, that I'm going to shift gears immediately.
Yeah, because like structure is important, but there also needs to be some flexibility to that structure, or the whole thing would fall apart. And that like it's like the yin and the yang. The reason that the black dot is in the white dot, right, is that it is necessary for each one to be there. And it makes sense that like there's some sort of format, but then like being aware of like where that makes a lot of sense.
That's how we find freedom, is through structure. We cannot have freedom without structure. And that, for me, that was hard for me to learn when I was like just getting into my yogic studies, and my teacher was like, you need more scheduled, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, but why? Like, I'm like living my life like moment to moment, and, and she just very beautifully like called me back to myself and was like, you can do it, but you need this to help with that. And I was like, okay, fine. And I'll be honest, like a lot of the practices my teacher gave me, I would like roll my eyes. I would hate, like when I gave you guys the mantras
when
practice.
You told me to do breath of fire on the fucking exam, I'm like, yeah, all right, for sure, breath of fire, here we go. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And she would give me that practice, and I'd be like, fuck, I don't want to do this, but I would do it because it's my teacher, and I've committed to this practice, to this container with her, right? And then the next thing I know, I would feel transformation. I would feel integration. And it was like Melissa, I remember when me and Melissa, like she was in the 300-hour training, which I did 2 weekends of, and then she like reached out to me probably almost a year later with this huge long message. And like the first few sentences were like, okay, you made me do this thing that I really didn't want to do and really pushed me outside of my comfort zone. And that has been the most powerful and potent practice. And I'm still doing it. And I'm just like, Satnam, namaste, like I feel you, and so there is like, there's a method to the madness sometimes, when we trust our teachers to lead us, and that is also a sacred space as a teacher as well.
Yeah. Awareness of the resistance has been really powerful for me. Like, where is that coming from? Why are we like that has been, for sure. Like, that makes a lot of sense.
Especially in the physical body, and that's kind of where we're learning. It's so interesting because I think people like miss this concept altogether with yoga, is like when we're on the yoga mat and we're feeling the resistance or we're feeling the edge, it's, yes, there's that physical sensation, but it's also like, okay, what's going on in the brain? Like, what thoughts are coming up? Are you telling yourself you can't do it, and are you listening to it? Or are you telling yourself, hey, maybe not today? Like, what is the meta dialogue? And it's really just about being like loving awareness for the way we talk to ourselves, Like, if we're constantly like pushing, and we're getting in these mind spaces of competition with self or others, all is lost. It doesn't matter if you're in a full split or not. If you are in your brain being judgmental of yourself or others, then all is lost. Nothing is happening. You are not doing yoga. It does not matter if you can touch your toes to your head or not.
Yeah.
And that concept, I think has been watered down because of what we're seeing in yoga studios of more workouts and less yoga. I had a student the other day, he's just like, why do we always have to roll to our right side? Can't you just like switch it up a little bit? And I'm like, well, no. And here's why. Like, there is a method to why we roll to the right side. There's a reason we do that. And if you're skipping that part in your yoga class, just don't. Like, look it up. There's a reason to this. There's a blueprint, and there's a reason why this blueprint has been around for thousands of years, because it works. And we have these modern modifications to help people in their bodies right now in the modern world, props, straps, things like that. And so there is a potent place for those things in the yoga studio, but we have to remember why, and I think that's the most important part of the process, remembering why we're here, what we're doing, and who we are. I think that's like, yoga has brought me so close to myself. And sometimes when we connect so deeply with our true natures, we don't always like what we see, and that's part of yoga too.
It's telling you something, though.
Yeah. And it's there to hold you. That bolster underneath the knees in Shavasana, like, let it hold you. Like, it's okay. You know, it's all right. A block under the hand in Trikonasana, just do it.
Yeah, that I definitely, I don't think I was against props, but I don't think that I just, understood the softness that they brought. So I didn't understand the value, and it's like, well, whatever, I'm holding this. But I didn't know I was already past my edge being mean to myself about hitting it perfect, all that shit. But even after starting teaching now, just people that are just refuse to use a ball, I'm like, I just don't, I don't know. It's funny. It's funny to me.
People refuse because I think people think it's going to hinder them, but it helps you deepen.
Yeah.
It helps you deepen so much. If you can soften into that pose, because you have to soften before you strengthen.
Yeah, every time you talk about this, or every time this comes up in a conversation, you posted this video about doing a handstand and about floating and about the softness of the float into it and just softening to deepen. It made a lot of sense to me. I don't know why I just think about that specific video that you posted.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I think it's not always something that's really broken down in a 75-minute weekly class.
Yeah.
We're not always able to take apart I like to call it floating to the top or floating back, because it's not a hop, but a lot of people do hop. Mm-hmm. And then when you're hopping, you're usually creating more compression in the low back and and it's just we don't want to walk out of yoga and be like, oh my gosh, my back hurts, So, and I think that is also one of the things when we've seen these power flow classes or whatever, people are zooming through these vinyasas and chaturangas, and the whole point of moving through a chaturanga and Urdhva Dandasana and up dog and pushing back into downward dog
recalibrate the breath.
Exactly. It's about recalibration. It's about refinement. It's about tuning into your breath and refining the spine. And if we're rushing through that just because we want to get, a workout, reflect on your intention, and maybe just try it. Maybe just try slowing down a little bit and see what happens. And of course, from a teacher perspective, it's just there's a lot less risk of injury when people can really slow down and move through mud,
I like that cue, for sure. Yeah.
Move through mud and think about it a little bit, what you're doing and why, and does this feel good, or am I trying to push past something without really sitting with it. And that's just like all what yoga has the ability to teach us. No big deal. So, yeah. And I'm like watching yoga too, where it's like, part of the blueprint is the last 5 minutes of class at least, we sit in meditation. And it just doesn't seem like people are doing that anymore. We're losing the meditative states in yoga because we're not doing it and we're not teaching it as teachers. And that really offends me, I guess. Because I care so much. And it's just like, I think one of the most potent parts of a yoga class is to be able to sit in meditation at the end of all of that, 75 minutes to be able to sit in peace and breathe in community. And, every time I sit in it, I always remember, like, I can take this feeling of peace with me throughout my whole day.
Word.
Whenever I need that, all I got to do is drop in and it's there. And that doesn't happen like immediately, but again, it's over time it does.
Yeah. I think probably the number one thing that brought me back to yoga classes was like experiencing that on a mat. And then, what's an example, like when I still lived in Cleveland, like one time I went to a morning class and then like I got back to my computer. I went back into the office. It was probably like 12 o'clock and someone said hello to me and I just was like, hello. And they were just like, man, you're like,
Zenned out.
Yeah, you're there right now. And I was like, you're right. And so like that, or like another one, I went to like your Friday 9:30 once, and I was like driving back here to the Innovation Center. And it's like that one road where it's like there's cars on the one side. So it's like if two cars are coming, either somebody's got to pull over or whatever. And like I was in the middle of the road, like coming down. It's like they definitely should have just let me finish kind of coming through, whatever. And they didn't. And then we both like kind of came to a screeching halt and almost wrecked. And the person was just like, finger by you motherfucker. Yeah. And I just like coming straight up out the yoga class was just like, all right, man. Didn't roll down my window. Just like I stopped, I let him drive by. And, but like what it was for me was just like the visceral reaction. Like, like just sometimes in those cars or whatever, like you feel like your heart start to go, your cheeks start to flush, like nothing, like no visceral reaction from that thing. Like I felt so calm and regulated and, which is just like, damn, just, keep doing yoga. Let's just keep doing yoga because it was almost like an out-of-body experience. Mm. Like 30 seconds after it happened, I was like, wow, like I didn't get the heart race. Like my cheeks didn't flush. I didn't get all anxious. Like it just literally the whole time. It was just like, all right, we're right here. We didn't wreck. All right. Like, why don't you keep going the way you're going? I'm going to go to work. And so, yeah, like just that. I mean, I think, selfishly, that's the utility that brought it to me of like, fuck, we got to keep figuring this out.
Yeah. And, I think that was a beautiful example of like, before I would have been angry and anxious, but now,
yeah, you motherfucker, you shouldn't have fucking came up as fuck. Yeah, I mean that whatever, that dude, like I can see that reaction from past cycles. Yeah, hindsight's 2020 for sure. And that was like another, when I talked about like the teacher training gave me a bunch of shit I wasn't ready to deal with. It was like all of those things. The perfect analogy was Sherry talking about sitting in the silent retreat, thinking about shit that came up to her as a 4-year-old, and she's a 60-year-old lady, sitting in a silent retreat. Why am I thinking about something that happened to me when I was 4 years old? Like this yoga teacher training, and just like I just has organically brought these things up that of just like maybe old patterns or just an acknowledgement of like when that same pattern is coming back. Like I feel like those are the moments that those things from the past come up for me. It's just like when that same thing is coming, and maybe it's just like I'm taking a different exit ramp this time. And it's just like, oh, I did the same fucking thing like here. Like that's how I feel like those things come up for me. Or like in that moment of like where the cycle was like, I don't know, which parallel reality. Are we going to go back to the same loop and do the same shit that little boy Tyler did, or like, do we see a different, that's just the whatever, the everlasting journey,
And I think that's a really great reflection to like why we use a block. You know, like it seems so like simple and silly, but it's like, but no, if you can find softness here and support yourself here, you will be able to do that in the real world. But you got to keep coming back, and you got to keep trying, you know, and knowing when to step away, or knowing when not to respond is also a skill. And I think it's also a product of a meditative mind. You know, not everything needs a response. Not everybody needs to be flipped off when they, you know, run a red light on you, or whatever it is.
It's like the more unconscious you are, the more unconscious actions you make, like responding to, like just sending that energy right back out, just that low contractive, like just ugly. You use the word
down.
leaky, you know?
It really lowers your frequency as a human, you know, when we respond in immature ways, you know, and that's not a judgment, and that's not an insult. It's like we all have been programmed from our childhood. Like that just is what it is, you know. Our nervous system responds because, you know, maybe at one point in your life, like that's what you had to do to protect yourself.
Yeah, hypersensitivity to just the environment and people's like mannerisms.
Okay. That's okay, you know, but it's like, but you're also, you know, this person here now, today, maybe we make a different choice.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we get our 4-year-old self out of the way and say, hey, I love you, and you did what you needed to do to protect yourself, but I'm here now, you know, and this is what I'm going to do. Easier said than done, of course. But, like, that is a product of a yogic and meditative mind. And the only way we get there is if we're practicing, you know. And so it's like, you know, circling back of like when I'm talking about passion for profit, like it's not even just that. It's like, this is my life. Like, this is my life, you know. And so it hits so deep. It hits so deep. Sometimes I'm like, I should have just opened a fucking gas station, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. But my life, it's not that. It's not that. So, and I feel really inspired daily by the community and by yoga and by the space, and it's just like it's just like a little hole in the wall, you know?
It does. Like the very first time that like I had gotten a key and I came into the room and I was the only one there, I was just like blissed out. I was geeked out. I'm like, I'm fucking sick. Like, dude, I set up my little teaching seat, and like the lights were on and the heat's on, and I just like sat. It was like, I mean, a synchronicity. I guess like there's not a question of if I'm supposed to be here or not,
like
which I think probably the strongest. Yeah, like I was in a Warrior 2 in Sally England's class, and like, I think that, I mean, again, right? Like, I had these, like, things pushing me towards it, but I don't know why. Like, I think about that all the time. Like, I'll be driving home, and I'll be like, remember that Warrior 2?
Yeah.
Like, there's just something happened. There was just this direct download, you know? And, it comes back up for me a lot. The mantra thing, too, like, when you're talking about, like, doing shit or whatever, your teacher giving you shit you don't want to do. Like, mantras come to me all the time, too. Like, Adi Shakti, Namo, Namo. Like, I don't know where they come from, but they just, like, fucking come back to me, and I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah, it's just beautiful. Like the yogic life, yogic philosophy, just continually coming back to me like that. That is a really beautiful thing. And again, just like back to the, like, it's never over, you know, which is, you know, really in line, with just like even like something completely different, like type A type shit, like with my corporate accounting job. When I first got there, like you're going through this like academic world of just like, all right, like task, result, like it's like I did the assignment, it's done, like what's the next assignment? And then you get to like your profession and you realize like, oh shit, like this dude's been here for 30 years. The whole 30 years that he's been here, things have been changing, laws have been changing, the technology that we can do to do the job is changing. And so it's like, no matter what, like you're always kind of just like keeping in line, like you're always keeping up, you're always learning new shit. There is no end destination of like, I know all the tax law now. It's just like that idea of just like there is no more destinations. Like there were so like the college degree was a destination, the CPA license was a destination, getting a job was a destination, and so I just feel like I've traveled from destination to destination to destination, and to relinquish that, which is like this like little passage, chapter 2, verse 47 from the Bhagavad Gita. I've been reading that like in the beginning class, like when we're in Shavasana. It talks about like doing your prescribed duty without attachment to the result of the duty, and like not feeling like any type of attachment to doing your duty, and I think that's all just like, it's just coming up for me because I think, like just that the destination is an attachment to the like result, and so just to like understand that it is possible to let go of that is life changing,
Yeah, and when we have that attachment, our field of vision gets very narrow, and so like we want to have the big picture, we want to see it all. Which maybe can sometimes feel overwhelming, but I think that's also sometimes a feeling we create out of false truth,
Maya.
And, yeah, exactly, illusions. And sometimes it's just the perspective shift we need, like failure. A lot of people are scared to go for their dreams, or ask for the raise or change a career or leave the partner relationship all out of fear. And it's like, but, if we can shift that perspective just a little bit and say, but there's opportunity in fear.
Yeah, to find ease in that discomfort.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's such a really, and I was actually having a beautiful conversation with Sarah Kennedy from the Cider House the other day, and we were just talking about not when we're going through really, really hard things, it's not always easy for us to see in the moment of the clarity or the peace that comes after that. And we were just talking and relating about, but now looking back on every single difficult thing that I've been through, on every challenge I've been through, of every failure I've been through, I don't regret a thing.
Yeah.
None of it.
Yeah.
Like I will never, if Middle Path had to close down tomorrow, I would not regret a thing.
Word.
At all.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of peace in that space, of not having that attachment to the
fear
right,
yeah,
and the destination of like, and truthfully, I have no idea if I want Middle Path to be around for 10, 15 years. I want it to be around for a while, like 5 years at least is my goal, but also like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I have no clue, I have my own personal goals and dreams I'll reach, and it's not like it's this big like I said, like sometimes I'm like I should have opened a gas station, if I wanted to get rich.
Yeah.
But that would feel so inauthentic to
For
who
sure.
I am as a person, because if I'm not living my days the way I want to, then that's just not a life I want to live.
Word.
I want to wake up and I want to teach yoga and I want to go for a walk in the woods and I want to hang out with my horses. And if my kids need me to pick them up from school, I want to be able to do that. And that has always been my life epitome, is I want to live my days with absolute freedom, moksha, right? True liberation. And I am grateful and inspired by that every day because I can log on my computer for an hour and then I can go hike or sit by the river or go to the gym or hang out with my friends. Like that's my life, and that is how I want to live my life, and I wish more people were living how they want.
Yeah, rather than the one that is keeping them in some sort of like bullshit comfort or whatever. You know, it's just like again, fear. It's
Yeah.
like
Or like doing
this is okay enough. You know,
Right.
like
Yeah, or trying, and we all do this unconsciously of fitting into the script that corporations have for us, you know, of like, you know, you do the things and you get the job and you get married and you have kids. And I'm like, yeah, but maybe like I don't actually want to do any of that.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's okay. Like, that's okay. And I'm seeing this huge wave of women specifically right now who are just choosing like not to have kids and not to get married. And as a woman, that is something that is like so pressed on us as such a young age, and to see so many women just be like, actually, like, I am gonna crush these, you know, career goals, or I am gonna just like live my life the way I want. That is so inspiring to me. Or and maybe it is like getting married and having kids and that's the only thing you want to do, then do that. Like, do that, please. You know, I really truly believe the universe like is only supporting our biggest dreams. So why not?
Yeah. You know, I'm sure every generation looks at ones after them and then they see parts of these and they're like, wow, these kids are kind of fucked. And then I'm sure they also see things and they're just like, damn, these kids are going to be okay. I feel like I see a lot of things or just a lot of perspectives where I'm like, you know what? These young kids are fucking, like, they don't give a fuck what you're trying to impose on them or fucking go get the job. It's like, hey, man, I'm going to take a year off and live out of my Honda Civic and I'm going to go just check out van life.
Let's
like, that
go.
shit, like, for sure, man. Like, I see a lot of good signs, like, out of just, like, young kids that I'm like, I'm glad that you are thinking,
Yeah.
you know, just
No,
like,
me too.
like, what is all this, like, just smoke and mirrors that we've, like, been sold into? And so just like that, I feel like there's maybe just even more, so maybe even just more conversation than when I was growing up. You know, like, when I was growing up, maybe I just even missed it, right? Maybe those kids that were in that mindset, like, maybe I just didn't give them time or like pay attention to them, you know what I mean? Because I was like very just like, yeah, atypical like my whole life for sure. But yeah, again, I see things from the youth and I'm like, these kids are fucked. And then I see other things and I'm like, nah, you guys are gonna be all right.
They'll be okay. Yeah, and we're it'll happen. You know, I think it'll all be okay. Honestly.
Word. Reiki. Are you in that Reiki certification thing, or it's just because you
Yes.
offer Reiki at the studio? Or Misty, what's her name?
Yeah, Misty Skeen does Reiki at the studio. Abby Miller does Reiki at the studio.
Nice.
And Kat Kovacs is also hopefully going to get on the schedule too. She does Athens Sister Circle. So, and actually Kat will also be drumming at our solstice retreat in June.
Cool.
So the Misty Skeen, she's a master Reiki practitioner, so she's going to be certifying everybody. I will be there as a student.
Yeah.
So,
What is Reiki? Like, what is your understanding of Reiki?
yeah, Reiki is also an ancient practice where you're using energy healing. And some people have different modalities of energetic healing, whether it's past life regression or trauma wound healing, or helping remove blockages in between chakras. So there's like different calibers, or even doing Reiki on animals. Which Misty Skeen, she's done Reiki on my horses and did animal communication with them, which I highly, highly recommend her. So she'll be leading that, and that is on next weekend. So May 15th or 16th.
The 16th is a Saturday.
Yeah, May 16th. She'll be doing that. We still have space. And she will be teaching level 1 next weekend, and then I think level 2 is in June, level 3 July, level 4 in August.
Is this just like what am I trying to say? Like a entry level, then like a just whatever? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I believe you have to be to like a level 3 to then be able to practice on people or animals or whatever you.
So then, what's the purpose of the 1 and 2s?
It's similar to.
Like, you need
it's
them to get to the threes?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what is Reiki? You know, I'm sure there's like safety protocols and how you protect your energy too.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Cool.
Yeah. So we have Reiki going on, certifications going on, of course, teacher training happening, retreats coming up. We also have the ribbon cutting ceremony May 22nd at 1:30 p.m. And
I think I'm teaching that day.
yeah, in the evening?
Yeah.
Cool, yeah. So, yeah, and Justine will be teaching the noon class.
Yeah. Right before it.
Yeah,
Really?
right before. So,
Nice.
I'm planning to have like snacks and some like flowers and stuff. People can pot a flower, and I really want to build out the front space to be more of like a garden space.
Yeah, okay.
Add a little, I don't know, little touch to that, I guess.
How
So,
fun.
yeah, so we'll be celebrating. I'm celebrating. I have not really truly like big time celebrated like the success of the studio. So I'm gonna be celebrating
How
that
exciting.
day.
Yeah.
And we'll be the chambers doing the ribbon cutting process. So I'm really excited, and I feel like more things are just gonna be continuing to pop up. I know we're gonna have like an Ayurvedic workshop coming up.
Cool.
Dates still TBD, but the more we grow, I feel like the more people are like, oh yeah, like I have this knowledge I want to share, and there's this space and it makes sense. So let's like do it.
Yeah.
You know, it's been so long since Athens has had like a yoga studio, you know, really doing it. So it's so crazy. Sometimes I'm still just like, wow, that's real. Like that's happening. It's happening right now. It's just like feels so dreamy. It's a dream. I'm living my dream, and that just like it just makes me so happy. So
Yeah. Word? Yeah.
Yeah.
I did have somebody ask me, how do you book Reiki? Like, because like when you go to like book a class or whatever, right? You like click the class button, and then there's like days, and you click book. How like are there specific time slots that Reiki is offered?
So Reiki has its own menu.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you just go to the menu and you scroll down, it's under Reiki and massage.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you can book individually with whoever you want there.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
and right now, just the way the schedule is set up, you basically request a Reiki appointment, and then the teacher will get back to you whether that time works out. And it's not the smoothest that I would like it, but it's just the reality of what's working.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. For sure. Of course, but online on the website,
Yeah.
yoga or middlepathyogastudio.com.
Yep, and
Yeah.
I just made a couple more updates on the website. Again, we're going to do another 200-hour training starting in September. One more spot for the retreat in June, 19th through the 21st. I'm creating a 4 or 5 day retreat that'll be in the States. That'll also be co-ed to TBD, and then the ribbon cutting on May 22nd. And we are putting together yoga at Stroud's.
Wow.
So it'll be a weekly class at Stroud's, and it'll be free to the community. And so there's gonna be an announcement on that very soon.
Perfect. And then you have like, are you doing a goat yoga out of like Jack Quinn's farm or
Oh,
whatever? Jacqueline Quinn?
Jasma.
Jasmine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jasma with Jasma and Ray with Quinn Family Farm. We're doing goat yoga out there. That's tonight at
Oh, shit.
5:30.
Cool.
Yep, but we have several of them scheduled monthly, basically,
Yeah.
throughout the summer.
Cool.
It's a really good opportunity to, you know, be out on the farm, see some goats, you know, be goats, and just
Enjoy life, man.
yeah, just hang out. It's always fun. Like tonight, I'm gonna have my kids, and you know, we're just gonna hang out and have fun, do yoga, breathe, and hang out with some goats. And it's about having fun. And I think that's one thing that I really like to remind my students in class is like, you can fall and actually laugh about it, and it's okay. Like, you know, and yoga doesn't have to be so serious all the time. Like, we can have joy and fun, and you know, yeah.
The first time that I think I really had fun in a yoga class, like, I forget, it might have even been when we were, like, going through, like, the students were going through our rounds of teaching. We were in, like, a tree pose, and somebody talked about, like, swaying, like, your branches swaying in the wind, and I just started, like, flocking, like, just whatever. And then it was really funny because then I stopped, and then my foot actually got really tired, like, my arch muscle, and then I, like, fell. And but yeah, like, for sure. But then experiencing it that one time, just, like, it clicked for me, like, oh yeah, for sure. Like, it was great.
Yeah, sometimes we got to learn how to fall before we learn how to get back on.
Word.
Yeah.
Word. Well, you know, again, I couldn't be more grateful for the Middle Path space. I couldn't be more grateful for finding you as a teacher.
Oh,
and
thank you.
yeah, I'm really excited to just continue teaching at the studio. I'm excited to watch the people that I was in the cohort with continue to teach. And man, like, I really appreciate what you're doing in our community, and I think it's only gonna expand and be greater. And just thank you so much for everything you're doing. Yeah.
I appreciate it always, and what you're doing for the community too. I mean, you're giving voices to so many people's visions that don't always have a daily voice in the community. So I think what you're doing is super valuable and priceless, honestly. So
Right.
Thank you as well.
Awesome. Bless up.
Yeah.
Ashley Wines.
Yay.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.